Hi everyone, good evening. Am I audible now?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. We'll quickly recap the yesterday's discussion and we'll start with the basic server fundamentals today. And in order to learn our course, we have to understand the prerequisites first. For the prerequisites for the VMware vSphere install, configure, manage courses, we require a basic network, storage, and computer hardware concepts. So today's session, we are going to discuss about the basic server fundamentals. Let's start with the server fundamentals, very basic information. In our servers, we have a different types of form factor server types. These server types are divided into three types. One is tower server. If you see in the first diagram, this is called the tower server. This is a tower server. And the second one, it shows like a rack mount server. The rack mount servers looks like this. The top one is showing is like a 1U server. That means 1 unit server, and the third one is looks like it's a combined with the 2 units. So this is a 2U rack mount server. And if you observe the last server, this is a 4 units rack mount server. And this is also some other tower server. And similarly, we have a third type of server that is called blade server. The below diagram refers to the blade server. So I repeat, we have a three types of servers. One is tower server, second one rack mount server, and the third one is blade servers. The only difference is the tower servers we can place directly anywhere. If you want to connect any of the offices or branch offices, we can use the tower server. For this tower server, we no need any of the rack. When comes to the rack mount server, the name itself says rack mount server. So we require a one rack. It looks like a one shelf, big shelf, 42 unit shelf. In that shelf, we can mount this all the rack mount servers. And when come to the blade server size is equivalent to 10 unit size, 10 unit size, and each blade acts as a one server. If you see this blade server diagram, we have a, if you count from the top one, this is considered as one blade. One blade is equivalent to one server. Just count how many blades here: one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So on top we have 8, and bottom also we have a 8. So 8 plus 8, 16. This is considered as a 16 blade server. So this 10 unit box, it have a 16 servers inside. All these blades acts as a one server. Each blade acts as a one server. So now come to the servers. The servers is the core of the IT infrastructure. IT infrastructure is keep evolving nowadays, and servers normally it includes the both physical and non-physical elements. The main key definitions we should understand: what is hardware, what is software, and what is firmware. And hardware means it's mostly like a physical components, and the software, it's normally the instructions we uses to interact with the hardware to perform specific tasks. Like suppose in our desktop, if you want to run any of the software, we are installing the VMware workstation or MS Office to run the MS Word, Excel, PowerPoint. That is also one software. And in the production environment, we are installing some applications, database applications, or SQL, Oracle. These are all considered as a softwares. And when it comes to firmware also one of the software. This software mainly to interact with the hardware. It's also like a hardware drivers. Normally, if you when we are having a new server, initially we should install the firmware drivers. This firmware driver consists of all the hardware component drivers. Okay. Now let's move on to the server components. In our server components, the key components includes processor. Processor, we can also call it as CPU, central processing unit, and memory we also call it as random access memory, and storage. Within the processor, if you see the processor, we have a two types of vendors in the most popular vendors. One is Intel, another one is AMD. So we can use any of the Intel processors or AMD processor in our server. And memories also, we have a different types of memories: ddr1, ddr2, ddr3, ddr4, and so on. There are so much memories are using. Normally in the server environment we'll use minimally 128 GB memory, and more than 128 GB memory we can use in our server infrastructure. And the storage, we have a different types of storage. It's like a hdd, sdd, flash drives. Based on the speed, the storage also based on the disk name, the speed and rpm will increase. And input and output devices, we have input and output devices like keyboard, mouse, monitor. And operating systems, we have mainly multiple operating systems. Windows, within Windows, yesterday we discussed that there are so many flavors in Windows. Windows client operating system, Windows server operating system. The latest server operating system is 2022. And similarly, Apple also have a operating systems, Macintosh operating system, and Linux also have a different flavors of Linux operating system, which includes Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Fedora Linux, SUSE Linux, and there are and so multiple Linux operating systems. And come to the applications, I just given few examples: Adobe, Skype, and Microsoft Exchange. Any of the Microsoft also consider Microsoft have a plenty of applications. And when come to this personal mobile, even the personal mobile also almost similar like a server, and it have a components like we are installing a multiple mobile application. Same way in our server also it require a one hardware. This hardware consists of processor, memory, storage, and we need to install one operating system in server. On top of the server we are running the applications. Let's deep dive into the processor information. Before going to the processor, we can just understand the motherboard. Normally, the motherboard is the heart of the server. This motherboard consists of CPU. If you see in this diagram, this is the CPU socket. It consists of the CPU, memory, disk, and also the motherboard is in charge of all the input and output devices. And also the processor type, as we discussed, we have two types of processor types: Intel and AMD. And the processor is the brain of the server, and motherboard is the heart of the server. And the memory, we can also call it as RAM. Any physical device capable of storing the information. Normally it's a temporary storage for our processor. And the RAM, we can measures in a speed and performance. Memory can be called as random access memory. And the types of memories, we have ddr1, ddr2, ddr3, and so on. And comes to the storage, we have different types of disk. The first diagram shows as a normal HDD disk, and the second one refers to SSD, solid state drives, and the below ones refers as a tape drive. Now we can use the storage to store the all our data, all our personal end users data. And what data we can store in the, if you refer the first column, we can see HDD hard disk diagram. Normally we can store all our computers data. It's like a business critical data. When comes to the SSD, solid state drives, this is mostly compared to HDD. HDD is the bit costlier, and also the performance wise, performance also high in SSD, and SSD consists of more mission critical data. And all flash drive, nowadays most popular drives are flash storage. This flash storage we are using for the production environment. And when come to the last column, this is the tape storage. This tape storage will use for a backup. uh, Whenever we want to store the backup of the previous data, if you want to store in the multiple disk, instead of purchasing the hard disk or SSD disk, we'll store all the previous past data, archival data, we can store in the tape drives. And the input output, the movement of data into or output out of the computer. The examples for the input output systems like printers, hard disks, modems, USB thumb drives, digital camera, touch screens, DVDs, and so on. And the operating system, normally operating system that manages the computer hardware and software resources and provides the common services for programs. Like we just now discussed, the Microsoft operating system have a multiple flavors. Similarly, Linux, whatever the whenever we install the operating system on our server, this operating, if let's imagine if we do not have operating system, how we can run any application. If you want to run a application like SAP application or Microsoft Outlook, Office 365, any application, we need a operating system. And to perform input and operating system, or if you want to print any of the your document, without operating system we cannot run the printer application. And once you run the print only, we can able to get the printout. And same way, that is the importance of operating system. uh, Now come to the applications. The application also like a normal software package that performs a specific function directly for an end user or any of the another application. I given some of the example what are all the applications like Salesforce, Microsoft Exchange, Adobe applications, Sync, and this is one of the screen capture application, snipping tool. And let's recap quickly what is the main components in our server. The main components are motherboard and processor, memory, storage, input output, operating system, applications. So in our motherboard, it's like a heart of the server, and the CPU is a brain of a server. And when it comes to memory, it's a temporary storage of a data used by the processor. And storage, normally we use the storage in a disk, multiple types of disk. Either we can use a physical disk, or in our virtualization, we are using a virtual disk. And input output, we can use any of the computer devices like thumb drives, external hard disk, printers. These all considered as a IO devices, input output devices. And operating system, we have multiple flavors of operating system. We have Microsoft Windows is the popular, and Red Hat Enterprise Linux also popular OS. And we also have Solaris operating system, some other third party operating systems. And applications in our real environment, real time, most of the companies, they may use their production related applications like Microsoft MSBI, Microsoft Dynamics AX, SAP. These all considered as the applications. So when it comes to database applications, we can use the database application SQL, Microsoft SQL, Oracle, and IBM DB2. These are all the database applications. And SAP also, some of the SAP application, some of the ERP, these all considered as a application. So based on the customer requirement, they will use the applications in the production servers. So now, before we going to start the VMware virtualization, let's have a quick overlook on HPE virtualization best approach. Basically, I'm a HPE guy, so I will just focus on the HPE products. So how we are going to use the server for VMware virtualization. If you see the virtualization row, in this virtualization row, I highlighted that not only VMware vSphere, in our current market, we have other competitive vendors as well. One of the Red Hat virtualization software name is KVM, and VMware data center virtualization software name is vSphere. vSphere means vSphere consists of ESXi and vCenter. And Microsoft also releases the virtualization, bare metal virtualization software, the software name called Hyper-V. And if you want to run any of the virtualization software, we need a server. As I mentioned, we can use either a rack server or tower server, or we can use a blade server. Suppose if you see the first column, the product which server I can use for my uh, data center. Suppose if your company is a small scale organization, for the small scale organization, we would recommend to go with a HP tower server, or we can use a rack mount server. And when comes to medium scale, we can use the rack mount server, or we can use a HPE blade servers. And when comes to the large scale organizations, we can use a better blade server, a better blade. We can also call it as HPE Synergy servers. These servers mostly recommended for large scale industries. And so depends on our customer requirement. Suppose our office is a small organization, we'll go with a low configuration of HPE server. And if our organization is a medium scale business, we'll go with a blade server. And if our organization is a very large organization, we'll go with a synergy. Synergy is like a better blade server. Okay, so the importance of each server I just mentioned in the below. Suppose the small scale means what is the scope is we can use the server in a remote offices or small businesses, and the small scale industry means roughly we can use the virtual machines up to 100 virtual machines. When comes to the medium, it's a medium sized business and the VMs count is increased to 500 VMs. Suppose large scale means more than 500 VMs considered as a large scale. And the deployment cycle, if you want to install the servers in a small scale, minimally we need a less than 6 servers. If it is a medium scale, more than 6, and if it is a large scale, it's more than 16 servers. And normally the what benefit we will get value proposition when we are using these servers, we are getting the incremental scaling, and it will also support for the multiple storage support. Heterogeneous means any different vendor storage support also it will familiar, and we can also use for the remote management. This remote management ILO tools and all we'll discuss in the subsequent sessions. And the similarly for medium scale and also for the large scale. Okay, and the reference architecture, the above the first row, it refers to the reference architecture. We can use this virtualization VMware vSphere. You can run on any scale of organization. The referenced architectures are these are all the reference architecture. VMware horizon view, that means we can use for a desktop virtualization. We can also use for thin app, that is application virtualization. Even we within a virtualization we have a multiple types of virtualization, that is called data center virtualization. We can in other words we can say server virtualization, desktop virtualization, and application virtualization. And suppose in your environment if you want to implement the SharePoint, one of the file share server, this is a SharePoint server. You can easy to install on a VM. That VM you can configure on any of the physical server, HP DL or HP Blade or HP Synergy. And similarly, it's applicable to the other applications as well. Microsoft SQL, Microsoft Link, Citrix Zen Desktop. If you want to configure, you can install on one of the ESXi virtual machine. To install ESX, you can choose any of the one of the physical server box. That is the virtualization best approach to configure the servers. So before we move on to the other one, we'll just compare how we going to verify the server models and compatibilities. Just go to the Google. You can just type if you want to verify the VMware. If you plan to install a VMware ESXi software, what is a hardware is compatible? You can just type in Google VMware compatibility guide. When you type VMware compatibility guide, you can choose the first VMware official VMware system search. Click on this link. In this link, we can find the VMware compatibility guide. So in this guide, we have a different types of sections to choose the which servers are compatible for our environment. For example, in our VMware virtualization, ESX server, we have multiple versions. The very latest version for ESX is ESX 7.0 U3. U3 means update 3. So I just selected the latest version, and we just now discussed the servers have a different types of servers. That is called either rack mount server, tower server, or we also have a blade server. So only these three types, I repeat, rack mount server, tower server, blade server. So you can choose any of the server, or I just selected as all. And the memory, just now we discussed different types of memories we have. If you just scroll down here, the memory sizes, this is the sizes available. We can start with 1 TB memory for the server, and we can also increase up to 8192 TB memory also. But normally, no one will use this much memory. Based on the customer requirement, we'll choose the memory for the server. For example, I'm just selecting the memory roughly 2 TB, and the max certified memory, even the maximum also they given the maximum. This is the minimum, and the maximum certified memory is 8192 TB. Okay, let's leave it as all. And when comes to the partner name, these are all the server vendors in our current market. We have so many hardware vendors to manufacture the physical servers. uh, you can choose any vendor, depends on the customer requirement. Suppose I am just selecting the HPE Hewlett Packard Enterprise, and the features you can choose any specific feature. If you're really looking, you can choose those feature, or if you are not sure which feature we need to select, you can just select as all. And comes to the sockets, just select the socket. The CPU also have a multiple sockets. We can choose the socket either two, or you can choose maximum. If you are unsure how many sockets you need, you can just leave it as a default option. And the maximum core per socket also they are giving. The maximum core per socket is 64. If you have an idea, if you plan to choose any specific sockets, you can choose this number, or else just leave it default option. And the CPU series also, as we discussed CPU, we have multiple two vendors are popular, AMD and Intel. See, within the AMD we have a multiple CPU families, different models. And Intel also we have a Xeon is the server model. Within the Xeon there is a different types of models. You can choose specific model, or else just select all. And the posted date range, if you want to choose the very latest one within a 1 week, or if you want to choose within 1 year, you can choose within 1 year. And the some of the other enhanced vMotion feature and fault tolerance feature. When you select everything, just click update view details. Now we can find all the HP supported hardware details. Either we can export or we can print. We can export to CSV. We can also export this file. Suppose I'm just selected all the list. These all the supported ESXi operating system. If you want to install ESX, these are all the supported hardwares. So this hardware list, if you want also export to Excel sheet, and we can verify. I just copy to the exported the CSV file. When you open the CSV file, let me save the CSV as a Excel sheet. Let's say desktop, I'm just saving as Excel workbook. Okay, this Excel workbook, now I'm just copying and rearranging the information for our easy understanding. So HP model, manufacturer and all. Okay, this is CPU series, detail information, note. Okay, these all unneeded columns. Yeah, I just highlighting whatever the columns are needed for us. Okay, see now we just verify the first form factor. What is the server normally within a form factor type? If you see the form factor, what is available form factors? This is the current available form factor. Just see the filter. We have a three types of form factor only. Three types of server: tower server, rack mount, blade. For example, now our customer requirement is they want to purchase one of the blade server which is compatible to VMware ESXi. We already selected the VMware ESXi version. The version we selected is ESXi 7.0, and I want to select a supported tower server. We'll verify one by one. I'm just selecting only tower. Click OK. See, the current available support models are only these two models. These two models are refers to a Proliant ML350 generation 10. This is a generation 10 one model, but it is showing us both are same model. The only difference is CPU series is different. Due to CPU series different, we can see the CPUs are, the first one is gold and the second one is Intel Xeon Platinum. Platinum means normally it's a advanced to the gold. So suppose our customer is needed for a tower server with Intel Xeon Platinum, you can refer for a this model. Okay, this is a one way of approach, and here it is showing us manufacturer name is Hewlett Packard Enterprise HPE, and the model here is Proliant is the model, and ML means it's a server series. We call it as ML means it's a maximum line. 350 means generally within the 350 it depends on the processor socket numbers. That number they defined as a 350, and the generation gen 10 means it's a generation 10. And the 350, the last digit is shows as 0. Normally 0 means it's Intel. If the number is showing as 5 means it's equivalent to AMD. That is the codes provided by HPE. Okay, suppose I'm planning to choose the other model of server, rack mount server. Select the rack mount, click on OK. You will see there are plenty of rack mount servers. Within the rack mount server, just select the model. You can find what is the available models. We have a different type, HPE Simplicity model and Proliant DL series models. And we also have DX model, XL models, and Superdome Flex models. Suppose I'm planning to select a DX model. You can just search here DX. So we have a current available DX. These are all the available DX model. Within the generation 380 generation, suppose I highlighted this one, DX 380 generation 10, there is a different types of CPUs also. We have Intel Xeon Gold, Intel Xeon Platinum, Intel Xeon Silver. So the if you're using a silver means compared to platinum, silver server cost will be less cost. Suppose if you want to go for a high performance processor, the cost will be high. Okay, and we even within a Dell Proliant DX 360 generation 10 plus also have a three models, gold, platinum, silver. So depends on our customer budget, we can choose the relevant server. Okay, these are all the supported rack mount server for ESXi host, and this server's number of sockets, by default it have the sockets, two sockets. Now let me select remove the filter. Now I'm selecting a what is the available blade server to install the VMware ESXi server. So to install ESXi server, we have the supported blade models. These are all the supported blade models. So this blade models totally four types of synergy blades. Synergy 4 generation means obviously there is some additional features added compared to generation 10, and 480 generation 10 means 9 means it's a old model, and the latest model is Synergy 660 generation 10 compute module. And remember 660 last digit 0 means it's a Intel. Suppose 665 means it's a AMD. It consists of AMD CPU. That is only the different. And the 600 is refers as a series of models. Okay, so this is about the servers, what is the types of servers available, and how we can choose the servers when we are planning to install a ESXi in real-time environment. Okay, now hope you understand the how we can select a server while we are installing the ESXi box and the configurations and all. We can use the VMware compatibility guide, or sometimes there is another method is we can search for a hardware vendor also directly. So you can search VMware HPE compatibility. You can also find site from not only from VMware, we can also find the website from HPE site also. Just click on HPE site. Even the HPE site also will shows which models are supported to install VMware ESXi server. See, if you see here, there is a multiple models of servers, DL, ML series, DX series, CL, Synergy. These all the supported model to install the ESX. If you scroll down within a DL, there is a multiple models which are all compatible for 6.5. Suppose if your office is currently using DL60 generation 9, this is supported only up to 6.5. Suppose if you plan to install the latest version SX7, it is showing as gray color. That means it won't support for a latest version. That scenario, this hardware will not support for a upgrading to the 7.0. So we should be very careful when we plan to install your latest ESXi OS. We need to choose the supported hardware models only. Okay, and these all the DL servers. Same way, if you scroll down, you will find a ML series servers, and we'll also find DX CL series Synergy models. Seems to be Synergy. All models are supported for ESX7. And the blade servers also generation 8 means it's a old model, generation 10 means latest model. Latest model it's supporting for 7 series. Okay, and similarly for other principal vendors, even if you want to verify the Dell server or IBM server, you can verify from IBM website and choose the some supported models, or you can go to the VMware compatibility site under partner name. See, there are so many hardware vendors. Here you can choose, suppose if you want to choose for a Dell, select the Dell and click on update view detail. You will find the Dell supported hardware details. And similarly, suppose I want to choose any of other vendor like Fujitsu. Fujitsu also one of the popular vendor. You can just select the Fujitsu and click on update view detail. You will find the Fujitsu supported hardware details. Okay, this is the way we can select the server before installing the ESXi operating system. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and also suppose the some if you want to verify any other vendors like Ash is also one of the vendor. If you want to see the servers compatibility, we can just verify ASUS servers. Just select the ASUS servers website. Here also we can see the products and vendors supported information directly. You can find from the official website. Here you'll see the compatibility list, OS compatibility, GPU compatibility, CPU compatibility. Like this also we can choose the specific servers from other vendors. Suppose if you want to find from HPE, even you can directly log into HPE website. Either you can go from the directly or you can go to the direct website, select the HPE products. Under the products, we are planning to choose the servers, right? Go to the buy now. We'll see the how much the server cost and all. So when you select the servers buy now, here you'll find the solutions, multiple types of solution. For example, I'm selecting the server. Within a HPE, we have a servers, storage, networking, softwares, multiple products are available. I'm just selecting the servers. See, as we discussed, we have a rack mount server, tower server, and blade servers. All the model information is available here. For example, if I select a Proliant servers, just click on Proliant. This is also, yeah, here we can see the server processor types Intel, AMD. So before purchasing the server, we should be clear we are going with the Intel processor or AMD. For example, I'm selecting the Intel processor. And the processor, how many processor you want? You wanted two processor or four processor. Let's say I'm selecting the four processor. And the form factor, server form factors are either you can choose for you or rack. And suppose I'm selecting a rack mount server. And the generations, if you select and if you expand here, you will find the generation 10. That means generation 10 only is the latest model. And the price, you will see the server price. So what is the default model it is showing is HPE Proliant DL density line and 560 generation 10 server. So this server, you will find the price information also here. Similarly, we can find the server price details from the other third party websites also, like Dell, IBM, Fujitsu, Asus, any of the vendor. Okay, I'm just showing you one example how we can see the server model and the pricing and all. See, the supported model is Proliant DL. This is the one. Let's say this version, if you want to see, is this model is supported for ESXi or not? Just copy this model DL560. Just go to our exported spreadsheet and verify that whether it is supported to ESXi 7 or not. I'm just searching here DL560. See, see Proliant DL560 generation 10. It has a two types of Intel Xeon processor models, Intel Xeon Gold, Platinum, and this is one of the rack mount. It is supported for a 7 dot series. So either way we can verify. We can verify from HP side or VMware side, whatever it is, it's completely based on our requirement. And the price for this server, if you see here, the starting price is starting from $19,358. Okay, and as low as we can purchase the server from EMI system also. It's for that one monthly charges are like a 498 per month. So any of the method we can use while selling the while purchasing the HPE boxes. But as a systems VMware system engineer, we need a knowledge of how we can choose the server before installing the ESXi operating system, and we need a basic knowledge of these components. What type of processor available, what is a processor type, is two types only, Intel AMD. Within Intel AMD, how many cores of processor available, and the server models, like we have a models of, we have unit rack mount servers, and we also have blade server, and we also have a tower servers. And generations also, we have multiple generations. Okay, this knowledge is needed before we get into the VMware virtualization concept. So that is the reason we just discuss this basic fundamentals on servers. So memory information also, you'll find, see the memory available 12 TB and the minimum available is 15 GB. Suppose if we didn't select the any of the model, let's see how much maximum we can see. The prices also will vary, depends on the memory selection. And the generations, it's available from generation 9 to until generation 10 plus is the latest. Okay, this way we can choose the server selection. Even within HPE, these are all the available current available server brands. And the servers also minimally from $2,000, and the max it will go for until the $20,000. And the processor speed, normally process speed measures in the hertz, gigahertz. The process speed, maximum available speed is 3.6 gigahertz speed. And the memory measures in the MB, GB, and terabytes only. This is the units for memory. And so CPU have a different type. We have a Intel AMD. Within Intel AMD, we have a different types of CPU socket. If you want to see the CPU socket, just type in the Google CPU socket. Let's say CPU socket types. Go to the images, we'll find the types of CPU. See, this is the CPU socket looks like. For example, if I click here, this is the right side diagram. Within the CPU socket, we will insert the CPU. Okay. See, socket 4, socket 5, socket 7, multiple sizes of sockets also available. So this same socket they are mentioning here. So what is your processor sockets? We can use 2 socket, or we'll go for 1, 4, 8, multiple sockets are available. And the form factor is nothing but a size of the server. Either we go for blade server, tower server, or you can use unit, 1U unit. For example, if I select 1U, how the server is looks like. It's refreshing the page. See, 1U server is looks like this. It's just 1U. Suppose if I uncheck this 1U, I'm selecting a 2U. You will see the size is increased. It's a 2U server. And the right side, it is showing the available models. If I uncheck the 1U, 2U, I'm just selecting the server size as a 5U. If you select the 5U, that means 5 unit server, this much size. Okay. Suppose I'm just unchecking 5U also. Let's verify the other model. For example, I want to see the server type as a rack 15. How much the rack 15? How is the rack? This is a rack mount server. Okay. And I'm selecting the blade this time. Go to the form factor, under the form factor, and you can select as blade. Now we'll see how is the looks like the blade servers. This is one blade. You can purchase either a single blade, two blade, or multiple blades chassis we can purchase. Okay. And we'll see the some other form factors. We verified rack, we verified blade. Now we'll verify the tower. How the tower servers looks like. So this is the tower servers. HPE Proliant ML series. These all the tower servers. Okay. You see the tower servers price also will left side. You could just expand the price. The minimum price $2,000 and the max up until the $4,000. If you compare with the other models, the tower server price is low. That is the reason we discussed that the first model is like a small scale only. For the small scale, we'll use either a tower server or DL servers. Like suppose here we mentioned the model as Prolient ML350. That Prolient ML350 we mentioned here, ML series, DL series, and DL5 series. These all the supported models for small scale organization. And the medium scale organization we mentioned as HPE blade system only. And large scale we mentioned as Synergy. So this is the way we can finalize the server selection when we are working in a real time environment. Okay. So now we'll back to the our lab. Yesterday we installed the VMware workstation and we created the VM, right? So hope everyone already installed the VMware workstation and created the VM. Have you tried installing the operating system? I'm just powering on the yesterday installed VM, Windows 2022. And please let me know if you have any questions. So yesterday we freshly installed the Windows Server 2022. I'm just logging in. Okay, now it's completed. The time zone is showing as different time zone. Let's log into the virtual machine. Right click the VM. You can use send control alt delete. So enter the administrator password. Okay. When we install the Windows operating system, by default, the server will not comes with a device drivers. So we have to install the Windows VMware tools in our virtual machines. VMware tools means it will provide all the device drivers to the virtual machine. So I will show you how to install the VMware tools on our virtual machine. So this is the Windows operating system server 2022 standard evaluation. So right click the VM. You can just select the option install VMware tools. Okay, this is the way we install the VMware tools. This is the recommended step when we completed the OS installation. So I just selected OS install VMware tools. Just open the computer. You will see VMware tools is mounted here. Okay, you can just double click the VMware tools icon. It will start installing the VMware tools. This is the Windows operating system. So we just straight away double click. For the Linux operating system, we'll use by default it comes with a open VM tools. So we no need to install the separately VMware tools for the Linux operating systems. And welcome to this is the latest version of VMware tools 11.3 series. So just click next. VMware tools we have multiple methods. Either we can choose typical, complete, or custom. Normally, we always recommend go with the typical. It will provide whatever the necessary drivers. Suppose if you select complete, most of all the multiple VMware product drivers also will install. Generally, it's not required. We'll go with the default option. And ready to install VMware tools, click install. Okay, if after install VMware tool, you can see the screen resolution, performance, everything increase. Earlier, the system screen is very small. Now it's automatically increase. Reason is that we install the device drivers. See, completed the VMware tool setup wizard. Click finish. See, you must restart the system to apply all the changes. So just click S. Okay. Once it is completed, just select send control alt delete, log into the server. Okay. So now we successfully log into the server. When we log into the server, by default, it will open a widget called Server Manager widget. This is a Server Manager widget. See here, you can find Welcome to Server Manager, configure this local server. They clearly explain if you want to configure this local server, the second step they given is add roles and features. If you want to add your roles and features, select add roles and feature. Add other servers to manage, use the third option. And the fourth one is create a server group. And the fifth option is connect this server to the cloud services. If you want to connect these servers to any of the cloud services like public cloud servers or private cloud servers. Now we are going to verify this local server configuration first. Just click the local server. So I selected the local server. You can find the computer name by default, it's selected as some default name. If you want to change it to your convenience name, you can change the name. Normally in the production environment, the recommendation is whatever we have the virtual machine display name, the same name we should set for a computer name. Now I'm going to show you how we can change the computer name. Just click on computer name and here change. And now you can update the computer name. So I'm giving the same as virtual machine name, Win 2022 VM01. So this is my 2022 virtual machine name. If you see here, we have member of two options, domain and work group. By default, every system is in a work group only. Just click on OK. See, to apply the changes, it require a restart. So click OK. If you observe here, the computer name is showing us starts with WIN hyphen some delta value. This value will be changed once we restart. So now click close, restart now. Okay, now it's restart completed. Just again select send control alt delete and log into the system. By default, it will open the server manager. Now we are trying to configure the local server first, and later I will show you how to add the roles and features. So let's select the local server first. See now, if you notice the virtual machine name Win 2022-VM01, the same name we set to the guest OS name. Even if you click here, you will see the same name. Okay. Suppose in future, if you want to modify this name, the modification is again click on here and click change. You can update the name here. So at present, no need. We have an idea how we can modify the guest OS computer name. Now we'll verify the other options. It is showing us Microsoft Defender firewall public is on. Suppose if you want to disable the firewall, click here and you can turn off your firewalls. At present, we no need to turn off, just close. And the remote management, if you want to enable the system remotely, just enable this option. Remote desktop option, currently status is disabled. If you want to enable, just click disable option and enable. We'll observe what is the importance of this remote desktop functionality. Suppose the server, go to the CMD and we can type the host name. This host name is Win 2022 VM01. If I want to see the IP address of this server, type the command ipconfig and you can see this is the IP address 192.168.218.128. If you want to connect this server remotely, the recommendation is the remote desktop connection should be enable state. If it is disabled state, I cannot connect the server remotely. Let's try. I just open on my local system, Windows run R. I just open the Windows R, type the command is mstsc to log into the remote connection. Mstsc means Microsoft Terminal Service Connection. So this is the command mstsc. Just click OK. You will find the remote desktop connection wizard. Okay, this is the remote desktop connection wizard. Here you can enter the IP address. What is the IP address is available? Just type IP address 192.168.218.128. When you type this IP address, click on connect, and we'll see we are able to connect this server remotely or not. See, it is showing us error message. Remote desktop cannot connect to the remote computer for one of these reasons. The given reasons, three reasons. One reason is remote access to the server is not enabled. In our scenario, this is the first option is applicable. And another one, the remote computer is turned off, but our system is not turned off. It's in the power on state. And the remote computer is not available on the network, but our system is available on the network. So our scenario, the troubleshooting is the first option. Remote access to the server is not enabled. So go to the system properties here, the local server, remote desktop. Just click on here and enable this system option. Yellow remote connection, apply, OK. Just refresh here, you will see the changes. Refresh the wizard. See now the when we refresh, remote desktop connection is enabled. Now we'll retry again whether this server is able to access or not. My system IP address, we know this is the IP address 192.168.218.128. Now click on connect. See, do you trust this remote connection? Yes, connect. See, now it is showing the pop-up. We are able to log into the server or not. We can use a login ID password, or you can choose more choices. Here in the more choices, you can choose the different account. Here I can give my actual ID and password. So my ID and password is administrator. So default Windows system login account is administrator, and I am trying with the password. So now click S and log into the server. So see, if you see here, instead of workstation console, I'm able to log into my remote desktop connection. If you see here, so this is the importance of server remote desktop connection. How we configured is we configured from server manager, local server, remote desktop should be enabled. Okay, this is hope you understand this option. And similarly, the NIC teaming. NIC teaming is one of the teaming of multiple network interface cards. NIC means network interface. Teaming of multiple NICs. I will explain in the subsequent sessions. And Ethernet, it is showing as IP address assigned by DHCP. In our previous session, we discussed the DHCP. DHCP means dynamic host configuration protocol. It's dynamically it's received the IP address. So we haven't assigned manual IP. Okay, and the operating system version, the current version 2022 standard evolution, and hardware is VMware 7, VMware workstation version only it is showing. And the right side, you can see the last install update never. We haven't installed any update because it's a fresh OS. Later we can plan to install the latest patches. Updates is nothing but a latest available patch. And Windows updates, it's a default, it's download from the Microsoft website. And last check the updates never. Later we can configure this option as well. And the Microsoft default Defender antivirus is already turned on state. And IE enhanced security. If you want to use this option, you can use. If you're not necessary, you can just disable. And the time zone, currently it is showing the time zone as US Canada. So if you want to modify the time zone, just click here. You can modify the time zone. For example, here time zone, I'm planning to change to the Singapore time zone. So you can select the Singapore time zone. Singapore time zone is +8. So select +8, click on OK and apply OK. Now you can, the time will be updated as a current time. Okay, and the product ID activated, currently we are using evaluation edition, so until the 180 days there is no impact for the product ID. And the processor is Intel, and the memory 2 GB, disk space is 39.37 GB. So this is the local server configuration. If you see the below, we can find the events. What is the events? Whatever we did modifications and all, everything is stored under the events. And the services, you will find the Windows Server services. If you scroll down some more, you will see the roles and features. Either you can choose from here, or else you can again go to the dashboard on the top. You select left side dashboard, go to the add roles and features. When you click add roles and feature, you will find that before you begin, they given the clear instruction that before you continue, verify that the following tasks have been completed. The administrator account has a strong password. We already set a password for administrator, and network settings such as static IP address are configured, and the most currently security updates from are installed. So we already match all the static IP. They given recommend to assign static IP. We assigned as a dynamic IP. We'll modify the IP address as well, and we'll just for testing purpose, I'm just showing you the few options here. Click next, and we have a role-based feature installation, remote desktop service installation. We are trying to verify that what are all the roles available in a Windows Server. So choose the default first option, click next. See, under server selection, our server name is showing, so choose the server selection, click next. See, these are all the roles. Other day we discussed about Active Directory, right? Normally in a Windows Server, how we configured Active Directories, this is the way. When you click on add roles and features, you will find the server roles. These are all the available server roles. If you want to become a Windows Server Administrator means, if you understand all these role concepts, you will be the Windows Server Administrator. See here, within the Active Directory, we have a multiple roles: Active Directory, certificate services, Active Directory domain services, federation services, lightweight directory services, and the rights management services. These are all related to the Active Directory. And suppose device health attention. This is one of the new feature they added for the health of managed devices. And the DHCP also one of the role. If you want to configure DHCP, just tick that option and add this DHCP role. And the DNS also, we have one of the role: fax server, file and storage services, host guardian service, Hyper-V. We discussed as Hyper-V also one of the virtualization software, same like VMware ESXi. Microsoft product name is Hyper-V. Suppose if you want to make this as a Hyper-V, just select this option and click next, next, and finish. But we are just observing the what is the available roles now. And same way, NPS, network policy access services, printed documents normally to configure the printers. If in our office we have a more than 10 printers, all 10 printers, if you want to monitor remotely and configure remotely also, you can use this role: print and document services. And remote access, if you want to make this server as a terminal server, you can use these features to enable remote access, and also remote desktop services need to be configured. And the volume activation services, volume activation service means it's like a to assign to maintain all the clients servers license information. To enable that one, we have to enable. And later if you want to verify each and every definition also, when you select the volume activation services, right side you will find the clear description. The description also will explain you what is the importance of volume activation services. And web server, it's a IaaS. IaaS means it's mainly used for a web services, any website configurations. And Windows deployment services, suppose if you want to push any of the application to all your client systems, we need to install, configure the role Windows deployment service. And the last one, Windows Server Update Services. In short form, we call it as WSUS. This WSUS also same like a patching. If you configure WSUS, this is also acts as a patch repository server. Using this WSUS server, we can push the patches remotely to all your member servers and client machines. Okay, so each role have a specific importance, but not all the roles are same. normally in the real time production environment, we are not recommended to configure all roles on one server. For each server, we'll configure a one role. For example, I want to make this server as a DNS and Active Directory. You can select all the Active Directory and DNS role and click next. This server we can make it as a Active Directory. But earlier they clearly given the instruction that if you want to configure Active Directory, the such as the static IP address is needed. So let's change the IP address to static IP address, and we can configure the Active Directory. So in order to do that, let me change the IP address on my laptop IP address. So let's log into the our 2022 operating system, open the command prompt and type the command ncpa.cpl to open a network connections wizard. So we'll find the network connections wizard. In this network connections wizard, Ethernet properties, if you select the Ethernet network adapter properties, select the Internet Protocol version 4 TCP IP, IP version 4, click on properties. Here, normally we'll assign the IP address. If you see here, by default, it's selected as a obtain an IP address automatically. Now, I don't want to use the IP address automatic. I want to set it for a static. So in order to set the static, let me verify what is the current configured IP. We'll plan to use the same settings. Let's say the current settings here is, this is the IP range. I will take the screenshot of this IP. We'll use the same IP range, or within the series we can configure. I'm just taking the screenshot. Okay, now just go to the IP address. I'm configuring this server as a manual IP address. 192.168.218.128, and I given the IP address, and the gateway, we have the gateway 192.168.218.2. So now for DNS, we are planning to configure DNS on a same server. So at present, just leave it blank, or we can enter the same IP address here, 192.168.218.128. Now click on OK, click on close. Our remote session may disconnect and connect back. Yeah, our connection is disconnected. We'll wait or we'll cancel and reconnect. Let me try to reconnect the system again. Open MSTSC, type the IP address, click on connect. Click on connect. So use the different account. I'm just trying to enter the local ID and password. Now click yes. Okay, now the system is connected. And if you go to the properties, we'll verify whether this is automatic IP or static IP. Static IP is nothing but a manually assigned IP address. DHCP IP means automatically assigned IP. So I change it to static IP now, because to configure Active Directory, what they recommended is when you click on add roles and features, Microsoft Windows clearly given the instruction before you continue network settings such as static IP address. So I change our server IP address to static now. Now want to configure the Active Directory. It's the time to configure Active Directory. Choose the default options. When you go to the role section, when you configure Active Directory, the first option is, this is the one, Active Directory domain services. We are planning to configure default some additional features also installing. We can say include all the tools, just click additional features. Okay, and also we are planning to configure DNS as well. So select DNS. Okay, it says that the validation process found problem. The server to which install features different features. Okay, so it says no static IP address is found. It's a just warning only, it's not the error message. So just click continue. Now click on next. So Active Directory domain services is going to configure now. So now click on next. And the previous option, it says that for Azure configuration, Azure is one of the Microsoft public cloud software. If you want to configure, it should be a separate online service. That instruction they are giving here. So this Active Directory is only for our on-premises. It's not for a public. So now click next and click on next. And when we confirm the installation process, later it will restart automatically. This option will no need to enable. Will verify how it will do the configuration. Click on install. So now Active Directory domain service installation is in progress. So this one you can also practice in your home PC how to configure Active Directory. And earlier, before do the Active Directory configuration, remember change your computer name same as your virtual machine name, and change the IP address from dynamic automatic IP to static IP. Yeah. See now the configuration required installation succeeded on Windows 2022 VM01. So you can close this wizard without interrupting running task. So it's good to close. Click on close. See the Active Directory configuration is completed. In the right side, you will have a notification. The notification says post deployment configuration. When you click here, we'll see the warning message. See deployment configuration. So add a domain controller to an existing domain, add a new domain to existing forest, or add a new forest. Currently, we haven't configured any domain name, so we have to configure the domain name now. So domain name should be normally it's a company name. If your company is HP, we will configure as a hpe.com or something. So for testing purpose, I'm just configuring VMware, in short, VMware demo. So this is our domain, VMware demo. So I'm just giving the administrator account password, administrator. Okay, so it is showing server is not operational, or else the another way is first we'll restart the server system and we'll reconfigure again. So restart. So VM restart is in progress. Okay, we'll see is the roles are installed or not. Yeah, if you see when you come to the server manager dashboard, in the below you can see the section called roles and server groups. Here it's showing us roles are 3, server groups is 1. So Active Directory domain services are already installed. It's in the green, even in the DNS also green. We'll see our Active Directory services now. If you want to see the Active Directory services, just open the run dsa.msc. Seems it's have some configuration error. Let me reopen. Yeah, it says that configuration required for Active Directory domain services. Click on more. Yeah, promote this server to domain controller. Just click here. This is option we can type here, or else generally there is another command also to configure that. Start run. We'll type the command is DC promo. When you type DC promo also, the installation wizard is open. Okay, the same wizard is here. So it's saying that existing domain, the second one also existing domain. We are creating a fresh domain. So the best option is add a new forest. So root for the root forest. So we can choose the name as VMware demo. Now click next. It says verification. The forest name is failed. Proposed for the Active Directory domain name. Okay, maybe we'll choose the different name. Uh, we have to choose the .com also. .com. VMware demo.com. .com.sg. Now click next. Here the name is any name we can use, and the domain have forest functional level Windows 2016 and domain functional also 2016. So we can choose the default option and the specify domain controller capabilities. It have a multiple capabilities. DNS server will configure, global catalog will configure. The read-only domain controller is not required at present. The reason is the read-only domain controller is required to configure only on the branch offices, not for the main server. Okay. Now enter the password for the Active Directory. Now click on next. A delegation of DNS server cannot be created because the parent. Okay, this and all will create later or create a DNS delegation. Later also we can configure. Click next. And it's asking for the domain name. We can go with the default option or we'll wait. Okay, the default name only VMware demo. Click next. Okay. And the normal, this is one of the important interview question. In Active Directory, where the database is stored means it is under the C drive Windows NTDS folder, and the log files also stored under the same folder and sysvol. So database, this is the location, and the logs also same location. Sysvol is a C drive Windows sysvol location. Okay, now click next. And we can review what are the options we selected until now. All the options we selected as domain name as vmware demo.com.sg. Instead of VMware demo, you can use any of the name. Normally VMware demo is like a company name. Normally if it is a company's HP means hp.com.sg. SG is refers as a location. Suppose if you want configure in India like hp.com.in, that is also you can configure. And the functional level, domain function level, all will go with the default options. Our server is 2022, but 2016, why it is showing 2016 means in your environment, if you have a Windows Server 2016 also, those servers will still compatible for the Windows Server 2022. Okay, you can go with the default options. Suppose if your environment have a Windows Server 2012 or Windows Server 2012, that member server will not compatible for this latest version of 2022. Okay, compatibility, backward compatibility only up to 2016. Forest and domain, I will explain again in the subsequent session, the importance of forest and domain. And the default database location, log file location, and system volume information location. Okay, all are stored in a C drive windows. Okay, now click on next. Verifying the domain controller operation settings. Okay, it is having some of the warning messages. This warning message we can safely ignore, but finally you can see all prerequisite checks passed successfully. So click install to begin the installation. Normally warning, it represent as a yellow color, and critical error means it's a red color. Most of the time warnings can ignore, and the critical red color means we should work on those errors. We have to troubleshoot. Okay, it's in progress. See, the server was successfully configured as a domain control. You are about to sign out. Close. Now when you click on close, it required to restart the server to apply all the changes. See, already restarting. If you observe the VM, when the VM is not configured with the domain controller, it's boot up very fast. When you configure the domain, the initial first time it will take longer than expected time to boot up. This is the expected behavior. It's complete configuring the all the domain settings. So it's taking a while to load. In the meantime, we just quickly recap what we discussed until now. Can you just let me know what is the topics we covered until now? We just quickly recap.
Components of a server.
Okay, server components. Okay, any other?
Server models.
server models. Okay. Any other we discussed?
Server type.
Okay. Server types. Next.
Processor type. Intel AMD.
Okay. Processor types. Very good. Other. And we discussed about the memory, storage, basic, very basic, what types of disks are available and all. And and we discussed about workstation installation. Hope everyone know how to install the VMware workstation. Okay, create a virtual machine and install the Windows 2022, Windows Server 2022. Any other? Configure Active Directory role. Just now we configured the Active Directory role. Any other we discussed? Okay, it seems to be server is back. Just select Control Alt Delete. See, earlier we see only administrator. Now we are seeing the domain name also. Our domain name is VMware demo / administrator. So VMware demo is the our domain name. So log in with the domain account password. Okay, now the system is login. The difference we can see again from the server manager dashboard. You can just select the local server. When you select the local server, earlier our computer name is same Windows 2022 VM01 and the domain name there was a work group only. Now you can see the domain name as a vmwaredomain.com.sg. If you want to see again, if you want to change the domain name, just click on computer name and you can see here also this full computer name we can also call it as FQDN, fully qualified domain name means full computer name. And if you want to change the domain name, just click change. You can see the domain name change information, but it's a first installation, so and also the primary system we cannot change. And if you want to verify the same domain name is primary or not, there is another way to verify is open the command prompt. When you open the command prompt, type the command net space accounts. So when you type net space accounts, enter. See, you can see the current domain controller computer role is a primary. Primary means the system is a primary domain controller. And if you want to see, want to verify from graphically, just type dsca.msc. It will open a Active Directory users and computers wizard. This is the wizard to open Active Directory. You can open from command dsca.msc or you can go to the start graphically. There is a method to open also. Here you can see the domain services wizard to open. Server manager also you can open. Here also you can see Active Directory domain services. Okay, normally the easy method, either you can open graphically from tools. Here also one of the method to open Active Directory users and computers. I repeat, to open the Active Directory services, there are two methods. One, go to the server manager, under server manager, tools, select Active Directory users and computers. This is the way we can open the Active Directory. Active Directory users and computers. This is first one method. Suppose if I want to open from command line, just open the command prompt CMD. I'm creating the CMD shortcut. Okay, open the CMDB command and you can type a command dsa.msc. The same command you can run in the Windows run also, it will open dsa.msc. DSA means Directory Service Administration. MSC means Microsoft console. Just press enter, it will open the wizard. So based on your convenience, either graphical or command you can remember to open the Active Directory. Under Active Directory, it is all the default folders. We haven't created, it's a by default showing as computers, domain controllers, managed systems, and users. If you select the computers, nothing is showing. And under domain controller, it is showing our system. Our local system is showing as a domain controller. And users, if you see the users, these are all the default groups. If you see one more than one means it's a groups only. This icon refers as groups. These all default groups, but only one user have. See, you can type user. Only one default user is administrator. The default administrator account is administrator only, and the rest all are a groups only. There is another also guest, but it is in the disabled state. If you want to enable the guest, just right click here, go to the properties and enable the account state. See, currently password never expires. Okay, no account name and all. We'll just right click enable account. See, object guest has been enabled. If you want to disable also, right click here, disable account. Disable means the icon is different here. If I right click, enable means the icon is like a active state. Okay, suppose if I want to create a user in Active Directory, just select the users, right click, go to the new. We have a multiple options to create. You can create computer, contact, group, the multiple options. Same way we have an option to create a user. So select user. I'm just creating one test user. Let's say the username is user01. Last name and all initials, no need to give. I just give the user login name. I give an user login name also user01. Now click next. See, it's asking for the password. We have to enter the VM. I'm giving the password. Sorry. Okay, user must change the password at first logon. Normally in the office environment, we used to recommend this option. First time we'll share our administrator on one common password, and later on user must change their password. So this is our testing only, no need to pick this option. I'm just selecting as a password never expire. Okay, now click next. User01 is created. Suppose this user, if you want to provide any description, currently here there is no description. You can just select the description here also. Testing. So we created this user only for testing purposes. So this user one, now again, if we'll open a command prompt, if you want to see which account I log in this system, I'm just increasing the font. Okay, you type the command who am I. If you type the who am I, it will show you what is our current login username. The current login username is administrator, or if you click on start, you will find the username also here. The current user information, this one. This is the icon. It is showing icon is administrator. Now we'll try to test the account, server login with the test user 01. I will try to log in with remotely. MSTSC and click on connect. When you click on connect, I'm just trying to log in with user 01. So now our domain is VMware demo slash user 01, and you can enter the password. Click connect. So click on S. It's saying that the connection was denied because the user account not authorized to remote login. Uh, if you understand, this error message clearly says user account is not authorized. That means no permission. So we'll verify. We just created the account, but if you want to see this user permissions, double click this user and go to the member of section. Under the member of, you will find the user permissions. Currently the user have only the domain user. There is no other permissions. If you want to add the permission to this user, click on add, and you can choose multiple roles we have in the Active Directory. If you read this name, you will understand which is the relevant group to provide the permission to login. There is a group name called remote admin permissions. If we have remote admin permission, we can choose that group we need to provide the permission. Let's say I'm planning to give the permission is here is showing as domain admin. I'm giving a domain admin permission. Enter domain admin, check names. You will find the domain admin group. Click OK, apply, OK. So if you want to verify again, select the user, go to the member of, it has a domain admin. And for the remote, we can create multiple methods to will provide the permission. But default remote control also enabled here. Require user permission enabled. Okay. Now click OK. We'll try to test this account again now. Open MSTSC, Microsoft ML Service Connection. Try to log in and enter our domain name VMware demo slash user 01 and password. Okay, now able to successfully log in with user 01 account. Okay, if you click on start menu, you will find the current user login is user 1. Or open the command prompt and see the current login user. Even when you log in itself, you can see the username as user 01. So this is the way we can create the multiple users and we can assign the permissions to the users. I'm just trying to log off. Just type log off. Okay, so we observed how to configure Active Directory and create a user account. But in the real environment, not only single user, every day we have to create a number of user accounts. That scenario, either we can use the scripting, also one of the method, or we can use a manual method to create the multiple users. And assign domain admin permissions. Okay. So any other topics we covered yesterday, today? Discuss the virtualization overview.
ESX server compatibility checks.
ESXi server compatibility checks. Good. Okay, any other topics? Okay, hope you got some idea on virtual infrastructure overview. And before we start the main concepts, ESX and vCenter, we reviewed the basic server fundamentals and also the Windows basic installation and how to configure the Active Directory. And the next session, we'll discuss some other Windows concepts, and then we'll start with the ESX server configuration, ESX install, configure, manage, and followed by vCenter server install, configure, manage. Okay, so that's it for today. Thanks for your time, and if you have any questions, let me know.
Okay, sir.
So seems no questions. Thanks for your time. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.